Good morning, everyone. An additional update on the movement of Bitcoin. But first, I want to share a few things. I've checked the audio, and right now it should be fine. So please leave a message down here if it's okay for you now. It was not the mic; it was just the settings of the mic. The second thing I want to point out is that people are already concluding that Bitcoin is not a safe haven during economic instabilities. But we get to that point a little later in this video, in which I describe the correlation through the credit crisis in 2008. The third thing is that people are expecting this cycle to be the exact same length as the last cycle, so from 2014 to 2017. Cycles usually take longer the more they mature, so I'm not expecting this cycle to be the exact same length. Rather, I expect this cycle to be longer than the last one, through which we are going to have a longer cycle and probably more alt seasons and movements. However, the corrections will also take a little bit longer. What we can see on the Bitcoin markets here is that I really wanted to see the 94 area hold, as then we could conclude the higher low, higher high structure. But we broke down, which caused altcoins to literally crash down. And it's similar to the equity markets and actually to some of the commodities as well that we're dropping down here. But it's not a particular good sign that we drop below 9.4 on the daily time frame. We have to say that. It's currently hanging around this support over here, which could be a support level. However, the more significance is given from the area we used to support during the descending triangle in the summer, which now broke down, which means that I'm literal flat in the market right now, and I want to see two things happen. One is, okay, if this is a fake out here, I'd rather want to see a bullish engulfing tomorrow, through which we flip the area back up again, which is less likely given the current economic instability, through which people are selling their assets to just have cash in case of any lockdown or in case of anything at all. People underestimate the economic effects of having the coronavirus, which probably shuts down your company for a few weeks or months. And what do you have to do then if you don't get a salary or if your company gets in trouble? You take out your assets and have cash. But I won't go deeper on that subject for now. I'd rather just want to check the weekly time frame on Bitcoin, which is giving us a shit chart at this point. Still a uptrending trend since the beginning of 2019, which also dropped down below the weekly level. A really strong bearish engulfing candle, which assumes that I am most likely first going to check whether the 87.50 is going to hold for support. But that's the first level to check. If that doesn't really provide any support, we're going to see a further downwards retrace, and then I'm going to point towards 7.5k. But we have to see how this develops. If we don't start accelerating in the coming days, we could find the support at 87.50. However, if we start to accelerating, then we can just fall through like it's just nothing. Which is the same with resistance in upwards trends, supports in downwards trends. They just get smashed through. So we have to see how it unfolds. The main example is how this one just fell through any support level and started to accelerate. If Bitcoin is not able to break back above 9.4 and make a bearish retest here in this area with a weak volume, I assume we're going to see the next drop down, and then I'm pointing at 8750. Then the same occurrence, same situation happens. If we don't break above 9.1, we're gonna see the same further downwards movements until we find a support through which we are making a bullish divergence here to mark the low, which we have done here, as you can see. And usually such a bottom structure is the main indicator for a low. So for now it's just patiently waiting until we either flip back above 9.4 as support, or we hold 8750 as support, which is still a debate at this point. Total market cap is also crashing down. Still holding, still holding the main 250 billion level I was watching and pointed out in the Cointelegraph article. Losing the level, and we could start falling down to the next main support area around 219 billion, which is a level back in 2018. Flipping that level support, and we're still making higher lows and having the trend intact. As a fact, we will be having this trend over here. So even if we start to do something like this and can go on later this year, we have to watch how it unfolds. But I'm definitely keen to watch the 218 level as support. If this doesn't hold at this point, well, I expect it to fall further. Is that a bearish thing? No, we came from 166 billion since the 15th of December, rally to 305, almost a 100% rally. So retracing a little is not a bad sign. We've seen that occur in the whole run-up during 2019 as well. Right now it's just a case, where are we going to find support? And there's some levels that I'm watching. But yeah, during drop downs, altcoins are getting smashed and hammered, which is not a new thing. If anything retraces, then if Bitcoin retraces, then altcoins are getting slam dunked by LeBron James. So that's basically it on Bitcoin. I'd want to see a clean break back above 9.4 to see whether we can sustain support over there. If we can't break that and we make a bearish retest, or we don't even get a bearish retest, then I assume we're going down further, and then I'm checking 8750 as the next level for support. So that's basically my conclusion on Bitcoin at this point. This should also mean that coins like Chainlink, it's providing a bounce now, as you can see, a little one. It could make a bounce, as it retraced about 30% now, I guess. Yeah, 32. Which we have seen here as well in this period, retracing down. Doesn't really mean that we have found a support, but I'm aiming to see whether this level supports here for a potential bounce upwards to probably 390. If this level doesn't provide support, then I'm going to watch until we find support at 280, 290, which means that Bitcoin drops down further to 88. But that's also a longer term view to see whether we find any to see the structure occur. If this is a huge drop down and the coronavirus is not a big thing, and as it starts to bounce back up, so the equity markets as well, then probably we'll see the Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies bounce back heavily too. But right now I'll be just cautious on entering the markets. Then there is the last subject I want to discuss, which is, oh yeah, Bitcoin is not a safe haven. If we go towards our friends silver and gold, well, first I'll check gold, and we check the funny thing, which is the .com bubble. During the .com bubble, gold retraced from $330 to $255, which actually dropped down as well. And during the credit crisis of 2008, it started to drop from, it first rallied upwards severely, 57%, and then it crashed from March 08 As you can see, let's get these vertical lines in. March 08 till October 08, it dropped again from $1,000 to 680. So this safe haven also has a particular correlation with the equity markets. Right now, we can see that we have rallied since the low. We have rallied about 43%, which means that I feel like there's a corrective move on gold coming as well. And what you can see in the past day is that it actually retraced a little. Silver is stronger in that. Silver is laggard and doesn't really continue in moving. The same drop down in 08 and 09 is found here where it actually made a new low. But silver is not really moving upwards however, the market is in instabilities and the equity markets are dropping down. So it's not a direct safe haven. And if we combine the data from 2008 with the movements we see on the market here, we can see that March 08 was actually the low for the first drop down during the credit crisis, and November 08 was the low in the whole corrective move on the equity markets, through which we can see it better on the Dow Jones, as this one was more hit during these days. March and November. Here you go. So the Dow Jones and the equity markets retraced, and during this period we saw that, let's get it on one screen. We don't want to have fee chain there, as that one is dropping down heavily too. March 08 and November 08. So during economic downturns, it's not a safe haven. It actually drops together as people want to have cash. And people get out of every asset until there's a bottom structure being found, and the same bottom structure we want to see on Bitcoin on every drop down we see here on the Dow Jones, is that the bullish divergence is that every asset almost drops down until at some point the low is in for the equity markets, as you can see, or whatever, and then everything starts to run up and gold starts to outperform the equity markets until the equity market started to make new higher highs and new all-time highs, through which people switch from the commodities markets to equity markets, as the high was here around 2011, which is already running when the equity markets here are already running. So concluding on this is that basing your argumentation for a safe haven on one day is a really strange perspective to go through, and I assume it's wrong, as we don't know whether the Bitcoin markets is actually a safe haven during economic instabilities, and it doesn't really is coming from a few days. It has to be built during the time through which we want to see how it's going to evolve in the coming period and coming months, if the equity markets are going down even further. If that is the case and we are going to see the end game or a big crisis occur, then we want to see, okay, Bitcoin is finding an uptrend and people are actually switching from equity markets to crypto or commodities. But first there has to be some sort of economic stability and less fear due to the coronavirus, through which people don't really want to have don't feel the need to have cash at the first sight and just want to invest again. And then we have to get some FOMO in on Bitcoin as well. So right now there's a fragile market on every asset. So I advise to be just calm in the market and just wait till the dust settles and Bitcoin finds a floor or whatever it is. So thank you for watching, and I'll be back on Friday with a request video.